Do you ever get burned out even from your favorite things? This actually happened to me over the holiday season with my favorite card game, Flesh and Blood, and caused me to look at other aspects of my card gaming hobby, diving into the old and canceled card games of the late 90s and early 2000s. And while I was doing this, I couldn't help think to myself what we could learn from the successes and failures of these past games. One in particular caught my eye, Legend of the Five Rings. I already did a video on it a few days ago, but I really want to talk more about it because I think they did some things that were truly incredible, despite being a game that has more or less failed twice, failing as a CCG, being bought, and then failing as an LCG, a living card game. I think the game did some incredible stuff. Now today we're going to talk about starter product. What modern trading card games can learn from the past mistakes and successes of card games, specifically Legend of the Five Rings. Now we have a couple products we're going to talk about today, and I think they did some things incredibly well. I think they did some things incredibly well that games like Flesh and Blood can learn from. Now we're going to be approaching this from a Flesh and Blood framing device because Flesh and Blood is my favorite card game, but I honestly think this applies to every modern trading card game out there. There's a lot these modern trading card games can learn from their predecessors, so today let's dive into that. It's going to be a really fun video, so let's do it. So before we take a look at those products that I had mentioned, I figured it's smart to first take a look at what we already have so we have a frame of reference to compare it to. And like I said, this is the Flesh and Blood frame of reference because, once again, it is my favorite card game, though there are other card games out here who follow a very, very similar model. So at the base level, you have these singular Blitz decks. These are starter decks designed for a new player experience. They each contain a single deck and are fairly inexpensive to purchase, around like 12 bucks or so. This is the base level product in my opinion. They do have a free demo product as well, but we're going to be ignoring that for this video. We're going to be talking about products you can physically purchase that help people get into the game. And these are pretty good, right? They differ in power level between deck to deck, but they're typically pretty good. They are pretty bare bones as well. They just have a deck. They don't even have a starter guide or rule book or any ancillary things. It's kind of like as bare bones as you can get, and it does give you directions on where to go find rules. In the modern era, this does work because, you know, almost everyone has access to the internet, so you can find a how to play guide pretty easily. You also have this product, the Classic Battles product, which is another introductory product where you get 2 decks as well as some extra special swag. So there's a little tiny lore book in here. There's some special foil cards, but other than that, it's also fairly bare bones, right? You don't have a lot of extra swag other than the little lore book here. And these are what we're going to be using as a frame of reference. Most modern trading card games have some sort of this sort of product, right? A deck that usually has a rule book and usually maybe a paper play mat to learn how to play the game. That's what we're looking at here. So let's talk about some Legend of the Five Rings products. And we're going to kind of do a little comparison here. So we had those 2 Flesh and Blood products, and we also have something like the Legend of the Five Rings starter deck. Now this is my starter deck from when I was a kid. This is my Crane starter deck. And this is going to be very, very close to something like this. I think Flesh and Blood did a great job in cutting down price because this is a pretty affordable deck. Like I said, around like 12 bucks. And if I remember right, as a kid, this was also maybe like, you know, $10 to $15. This one, as we can quickly take a look at, does have the starter deck and a fairly robust rulebook, which is something that people are moving away from these days. I personally really like these rulebooks since they give you a bit of lore, as you can see here, as well as rules on how to play the game. Now, the rulebooks have evolved and become much, much better over time. This is one of the more rudimentary ones, as this is one of the early editions of the game. And you can actually see that just by looking at some of the cards here. You can see that they're fairly rudimentary, though. I do love this old aesthetic. So yeah, this is going to be where they started, and we'll talk about where they go, because where they go is very interesting and something that I believe a lot of card games can learn from. They do a lot of really, really smart stuff later on in their life cycle. Legend of the Five Rings is a game that stuck around for quite some time. So like I said, I do believe we can learn a lot from that. So here is the facsimile of the Flesh and Blood Blitz deck. And then here is the kind of facsimile of the Classic Battles product. This is a 2-player learn to play set. There are some things about this that I like more than the Classic Battles, and I do like the Classic Battles, don't get me wrong, but I do like what this set does as well. It does contain a storage box for both decks as well as the deck. So you know what, let's take a look at this real quick. We'll open this up. Won't spend too much time on it, but I do want to give you an example of a 2-player starter set from a game that no longer exists, but one that I do believe did a lot of successful things, right? Obviously, they weren't tremendously successful, because if they were, they would still exist to this day. But that's not to say that there aren't things that we can learn from them, and this is something that we can learn from them. So this is the Honor and Treachery 2-player learn to play set for the Emperor Edition. And the reason I mention that is that we're going to talk about the Emperor Edition. That's the main focus of this. Specifically, the Emperor Edition Genpuku, or Genpuku. That's the one we're going to talk about, because it did some very, very smart things. So this is just kind of like a slipcover. That's what that is. Here is the box. This is very, very reminiscent of old Magic the Gathering fat packs. But what this does, what this does over the fat packs is that this provides a actual new player experience with decks, whereas the fat packs just have some random packs, So here inside we have your, I believe this is the Scorpion deck, which is really cool. And these boxes are very nice. Like, this is a really, really nice product. I love this as an introductory product because it gives you a kind of like instant, how do I want to say, an instant box set, right? Whereas the Classic Battles here doesn't. This box cannot be really used to store the decks once you've already opened it. Whereas this has that. And this also has extra materials inside. So this is just, packaging that can be thrown away. I'll toss all the packaging to the side. As well as a lore book, which, like I said, the Flesh and Blood Classic Battles also came with a lore book, but this one is a fairly robust storybook, complete with like pictures and all this good stuff, as well as the Learn to Play rulebook. Like I said, this is kind of like a dying trend these days. A lot of games are foregoing the actual physical rulebook and instead are opting for like, hey, just here's a link to our YouTube video that tells you how to play. I think there's merit in having these still. You don't have to have them. Obviously, it costs money to produce this kind of stuff, but I think there is merit to this. It gives someone a tool as they're learning to go back and grab and be like, oh, hey, what was that rule? Okay, we're gonna look it up in the rule book. I really like these, and I know, like I said, it'll probably increase the cost of production and likely then increase the cost of the product, but for like an extra $1 or so, I think these are really, really good for new players. I also really, really love the lore books. I think these also should be included in a product like this because you want to get people invested into your world, right? You don't just want to have, some, vague or bland narrative. I think when you find a really, really successful stride in your game is when people care about the characters, they care about the world and everything surrounding it. And then, like I said, that's a really funny cutoff, actually. Like I said, I think these are also very important. Now, these aren't just those crappy little, flimsy cardboard boxes. These are actually like very, very nice. You can see they have this texturing to them. Obviously, we have the Velcro here, and you can see on the inside. They're very sturdy, and I do like this. I do like this little insert here. It's very smart because this has the, you have your deck here, and then when you sleeve the deck up, you can put it back in. Very smart. I think this is a great product to look at for new card games and current card games out there. They could learn a lot from this product. How much would I pay for this? Well, the Classic Battles here, they were selling it for $50. Would I pay $50 for this? Yeah, probably. This is a really, really nice product. And after you're done, you still have, you can still put this back into the box and have fun with it. I do believe it was set up like this, right, with the rule books like this. But you have a storage box to put your little decks and everything, and you're good to go, right? This is great. This would be perfect for new players. And then you get some sleeves, and as you expand and get more packs and stuff, you still have a storage product. And even if you want to go and use secondary stuff, you could still use this to store your bulk cards, which I think is very important. Now, we're going to upgrade this to something that I think is really awesome. We're going to jump forward quite a bit in Legend of the Five Rings history, and we're going to talk about the 20 Festivals starter decks. Now, this is not the main thing we want to talk about today, but I really want to mention this because this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. I think this is awesome. One of the most awesome starter deck products I've ever seen, but not the most awesome. I would give this like an A tier, where I would give the Emperor Edition Jumpuku like an S tier, right? So let's take a look at this. This is a product that contains every single one of the Legend of the Five Rings clans as a starter deck. Now, this product can be sold as a box set by the LGS, you know, back in the day, or more commonly, individually through the decks. So once again, here is my favorite clan, the Crane clan, and they are able to be sold as decks. Each deck has their own special tin that is branded with the world and the flavor and the characters. This was for their 20 years anniversary. That's what the kind of the 20 Festivals is. And look at this amazing product. Can you imagine, just sit back and think for a second, can you imagine a Flesh and Blood box set that has one of every single class in the game in a product like this? How amazing would that be? That would be incredible. So you have like your warrior and your assassin and your ninja and all that kind of stuff. Would be so cool. What comes inside? Well, so this is what's going to differentiate it from the next product, the one that I think is actually S tier. So it's a cool starter deck product. You have a starter deck with rules, and it also came with a couple extra booster packs. Now, as you can see here, I've already opened these. But inside, you have multiple different rules books. So this is a time where they started to simplify the Legend of the Five Rings rules because they were kind of cumbersome and unwieldy. So you had your basic rule book here that is, you know, it's a bit smaller than the last one, but you know, it helps save cost, smaller packaging, all that kind of stuff. You also want to be able to have it to fit in the tin, which then can fit in this bigger thing because you can't fit all 10 boxes if they are the same size as that the Honor and Treachery that we just looked at. So we have 2 rule books here. And then you also have the decks, and then this is the pulls from the 3 packs. There were 3 booster packs inside, as well as a little lore pamphlet about the Crane clan. So that's what this is. This one's not as fancy as before, but it does tell you a bit about the clan and kind of what you're getting into here. Legend of the Five Rings was very big on storytelling through their cards. And so what you got here is a fully fledged deck, complete with beautiful artwork, some awesome unique characters. We have Doji Makoto. This was the clan champion for the Crane clan. We'll see this character again in the other product we're going to talk about. And so now we're going to talk about some of the contents of the actual deck, which I think is important here. So in L5R, you can have up to 3 cards of any non-unique or other stipulation card in your deck, right? So for example, we have Kakita Ikura. This character is unique, which means you can only have 1 in your deck. However, we have Daidoji Teinaru, which does not have that, which means you can have 3 of them. This one only comes with 2. We have Daidoji Hiroteru, which comes with a copy of 1. And then, you know, we do have full playsets here and there. So I think this is where this product is not quite as exciting as the one that we're about to talk about. This does give you a playable deck, and it does give you all of the cool things, including, you know, new unique cards like the ancestral armor of whatever clan. Each of these decks has an ancestral armor, which I think is really cool. But yeah, that's what this product is. I still think it's a really cool product, and I would absolutely love for the games that I play to do something similar to this. Once again, think about the favorite games that you play, and if they did a game, kind of a box set like this, be incredible. And once again, you don't have to buy it as the box set. You can just buy it individually. So, oh, I play Crane, I buy the Crane deck. Or if you're like, oh, I play Lion, I'm gonna buy the Lion deck. Or my other personal favorite, the Scorpion. Oh, I love the Scorpion. They're kind of like the assassins of, well, we also have the Spider. The Spider are also assassins, which maybe a little bit reminiscent of some Flesh and Blood stuff. If you're a fan of Flesh and Blood, the spider might mean something to you. In any case, that was the 20 Festivals product. This is actually one of the final products that L5R did for, before failing as a CCG, getting bought, and then becoming an LCG. Now, the last product, and the one that I want to talk about the most, is the Emperor Edition. All right, so here is the Emperor Edition. These are very, very heavy, and I'll tell you why. This is the Emperor Edition. We're not actually going to look into this one all that much because it's almost the same as the Emperor Edition Genpuku. But I do want to point out one thing. On the back side of this, it does say that this display contains 9 decks of 116 cards each, and then look for booster packs, yada yada. So this comes with 9 decks, very similar to the 20 Festivals that we just looked at. And the main difference between these two products, the Emperor Edition and the Emperor Edition Genpuku, is that this one came out far later in the lifespan of this cycle, the Emperor Edition. So this one is kind of like an updated version, but it also does some incredibly, incredibly smart things that I think a lot of other card games can learn from. This is what really was the catalyst for this video, because this starter product doesn't just teach you how to play, it also teaches you how to build decks, which I think is so important for a trading card game. This product does basically everything that you want to do for a trading card game, and for that reason, I think it's one of the best starter products that I have ever seen in any trading card game ever. So we're gonna take a look at this. Like I said, we're not gonna take a look at the original Emperor Edition here. We're just gonna set this off to the side. In fact, this one is still sealed for me, and I'm gonna leave it that way, because I do believe that this product is better in every way. Just for the heads up, I did get this product for $60 from a super secret dead card game website called Hills Wholesale Gaming. In fact, before I show you the contents of here, I showed you the back before. The back of this one tells you a lot of stuff here. 9 decks of 224 cards. This one actually has almost double the amount of cards as the other one. As such, it's almost doubly as heavy. This is quite heavy. So anyway, yeah, I was able to pick up this product for 60 bucks. If you're looking to get into an old dead card game like L5R, this is the perfect way. For $60, the price of most modern board games, this gives you a complete and excellent experience. So here you can see, similar to the 20 Festivals, we have all 9 clans of L5R. And what makes this so good is, like I said, that this teaches you not only how to play, but also how to build decks. Now let's take a look at this product kind of at the base level. You have these cute little boxes. This is what a sealed one would look like, right? We'll open up a sealed one so you can kind of see what the whole experience would be. But at the base level, I love these little cubes. Like, you could either buy, once again, you can buy the box set as it is, or you could buy them individually. I'm not sure of pricing at the time. I would love to know if someone who knows like the MSRP of this back in the day, but I at the base level, awesome product. If Flesh and Blood came out with a product like this, once again, which each of these being a different class, that would be immaculate. But it goes so much beyond that. So like I said, let's take a look at the Crane clan, once again, because they are my clan of choice when I used to play L5R. Each of them says a little saying at the top to add for the flavor. So this one says, "We will govern," whereas the crab that I showed off before says, "We will endure," to give you a little bit of flavor. So inside this tidy little package, and these cases are really nice too. Once again, they're not like the little flimsy cases. You can see some of the texturing on them. These are actually quality. They're very, very nice. Inside we have a little booklet that tells you about the clan, but also shows you something else. We'll talk about this in a second. Then we also have your how to play guide. Once again, it's pared down from the bigger how to play guides. I still like this. I still like having something that you can refer to, being like, oh, what was that rule? Okay, let me go grab the little guide and we'll take a look at it. This is where it hints at how cool this is. All right, so this does have a little lore bit, like we saw with the 20 Festivals. Has a little bit of lore bit about your clan, which I think is awesome. But on the back it says Crane Clan deck, and then gives you a deck loadout. And you might be saying, like, why does it give you a deck loadout? Isn't it a pre-constructed deck? Isn't this just everything that it comes with? No, not even close. In fact, this more or less serves as kind of like a template of possible decks you can build. Like, there are a bunch of cards in here in multiples and play sets of, and it gives you the opportunity to actually build your own deck after you get this product. And if that is too much for you, if it's too overwhelming, you have the actual starter deck here that you can pick and choose from. And in doing so, you get kind of the beats of building your very first deck. Now, this one also comes with some booster packs, which was right here, which is cool. You know, it helps you expand on your experience. So not only do you get this giant stack of cards that are full play sets of every card, you also get a couple booster packs. And we'll touch on the booster packs really quickly. The booster packs are really cool. There are Emperor Edition Genpuku, which means there are only 6 card packs, but every single card in them is a rare, like this Goju Yurishi, which is a really cool Spider Clan card. But yeah, you just get a bunch of rares, so to help, you know, augment your deck. So this is what I really wanted to talk about. So you get this giant stack of cards, right? This is just giant brick of cards. But why it is so cool is it's just tons and tons of options. Where you saw some of those other decks where you had one stronghold, this gives you 5 different options as a stronghold for your deck, as well as full triple play sets of every single card that you get. Once again, this is so smart. It gives players the ability to learn to play the game, but also to learn to deck build. And I think that is one of the most important things you can teach a new player, being able to build decks. Now, of course, these days, you can just find the deck list online and go with that. But I still think that this has a lot of merit. And it's just incredibly cool. It also has some unique cards like the Asahina House Guard. We have the Celestial Sword of the Crane. The same Celestial Sword of the Crane that we saw at the beginning in that very, very first deck, which is, the very first old deck. We have Doji Makoto. Like I said, we would see that person again, the Crane Clan champion, as well as Doji Dynagon. Beautiful. We also have a unique marketplace, and then we have back to the full play sets. And what's really cool about this is it just contains a bunch of staples for the deck, all the way to a bunch of, like I said, play sets of everything, all the way to play sets of all of your holdings. So you have like your marketplaces, which is another classic card that I had in that original deck. You have these Glory of the Crane tokens that say you can collect 3 of them and get a special Crane promotional card. So you can actually turn these in for a promo because you get 3 of them, or you can collect all 9 Glory cards and get a special promotional card, which is also very, very cool. So if you bought this whole box set, you could, trade them in and get 3 different of the triple or of the 9 promos. Anyway, so yeah, this is kind of like the crux here. The only single versions are cards that are unique that you can only have one of in your deck anyway. It also contains here at the end, which I thought was a really nice touch, one of all of the 5 rings. So this is Legend of the 5 Rings. One of the victory conditions is getting all of the 5 rings. The Crane Clan typically doesn't do that. That's more of a Dragon Clan thing. But still, the fact that they included all 5 of the rings here, I think is super, super smart. And also have like these little turn sequence things and get some 20 Koku. But yeah, looking at this product, I can't help but think that so many modern card games can learn from this, right? So contained in this cute little box, right? It's a very, very nice package, right? This box itself wouldn't take up all that much space on the storefront, though you do have this big box here. And contains so much, right? It contains a ton of cards. You have all of these cards here, tons of staples, but it also contains a rulebook and, more importantly, a way to learn how to deck build, right? It doesn't specifically line it out for you, like this is the cards that you should put into the deck, but it does give you a sample deck that you build from this pile. And in doing so, you can kind of tweak your deck how you like. And I think that is just absolutely brilliant. I would love to see this type of product from more card games in the future. I think it is a great onboarding experience. So me, here in the year of 2023, not to date this video at all, but checking out a product like this, I'm actually kind of blown away. Like it's so smart and so cool. And me just buying this product as, a casual fan who likes to buy old card games, can't help but think like, wow, like this is all I need. Like I don't need to buy anything else to have a fun experience with this. This is like all I need. So let's check out one of these and see what it looks like actually sealed. And like I said, we're gonna take a look at one of my favorite clans, the Scorpion. And this one is We Will Dominate. So yeah, let's take a look at the Scorpion clan real quick, just to kind of give you an idea of what it would be like to buy this and open it brand new, right? And once again, price is a thing here, but I think you could actually price this to be good, right? How much would I pay for this deck? You know what? This is such a nice product. I'd pay like 20 bucks for this, maybe 25 for this box right here. This is a nice little contained box, right? So if this was Flesh and Blood, say this is Rune Blade, right? So say this is Rune Blade, and you're like, oh, you bought this Rune Blade deck, and it has a bunch of Rune Blade staples, commons, rares, maybe a couple Majestics in there, and it's just everything that you need to get started, but enough to give you like a couple different deck builds, right? And so as a Rune Blade, maybe it has, instead of like the 5 different holdings, maybe it has a couple different heroes, you know, that you can choose to build from. And so, like I said, of course, it has your how to play book, so you can actually learn how to play. I've already said that I think these are great. Then it has your lore drop that has lore about your clan, but then also the sample deck, right? Which is really, really sweet. All included here in the starter deck. So it also has all 4 of the little packets, and then 2 of the Emperor Edition Genpuku booster packs to help boost your experience. They didn't even need to do this. Like, this is just like gravy, right? Like, this is what I care about. This, I think, is like the cool core experience. But the fact that it also just randomly has like 2 booster packs that they managed to fit in here is actually incredible. So let's set these to the side real quick, and let's just kind of take a quick glance at these, and you can kind of just see, like, how cool would this be? Like, imagine opening this up, and then inside you have, instead of these 4 holdings, which are just beautiful, by the way. Look at these. Instead of these 4 holdings, or, you know, I can't remember what they call these exactly, but imagine there's like, there's 5 here, not 4, but imagine these are all heroes, right? Different heroes to build different versions of the Rune Blade, as well as your Imperial Favor. And then a bunch of staples, right? So maybe you have like your, let's think of some, like Read the Runes, or your Reduced to Rune Chants, and all that kind of good stuff here. Just play sets of them all. So you just have a full play set ready to go of everything. And then you have options to deck build. You don't just have like your one Phi deck, right? You don't just have your one Dromai deck that's just, this is it. You have a lot of options here. Yeah, there's a couple downsides here is, one, obviously it's reprinting a lot of cards, but a lot of the cards in here are just commons and uncommons. So in Flesh and Blood, they would be rare and commons, with some unique cards, which, once again, the unique cards you only run 1 of. So this is a Soshi House Guard. It's a unique. There's only 1 of them in here, as well as Celestial Sword of the Scorpion. It's unique. Bayushi and Nitoshi, really, really cool. And also very cool, Shosuru Hawado. And then you have the Merchant's District, which is also unique. And then, once again, back to the full play sets. And these are reprintings of the cards. It does even tell you what set they come from down here on the bottom, which is great. Yeah, I love this. And so, once again, from the Flesh and Blood framing, you could put a bunch of heroes, right? So you have 5 heroes, and then you can put like multiple different options for equipment, both class equipment and generics. You know, you can just use common cards and rares. I'm not asking them to put legendaries and that kind of stuff in here, but just a great way to get people into the game, into deck building, and into like the world and the lore, giving them multiple options, being able to play the decks the way that, you know, they like playing. So yeah, this is kind of like what I really wanted to talk about, because I got this in the mail recently, and I was like, this is so cool. We have another unique, Bayushi's Guidance. This is just so cool that I had to talk about it. So many modern card games can learn from this, and like I said, I'm using Flesh and Blood as the reference here, but this can apply to many other games. So like, let's think about other modern card games, like basically any. So like Magic, you can do this, but 1 for each of the colors. They already kind of have a product like that. I think it's called Game Night, but it's not like this. right? It's just like a starter product that just has one of each of the colors, but it doesn't have like these card pools that aren't necessarily like this doesn't necessarily give you a deck. It does give you a deck, but it gives you a card pool that you can build decks from, which I think is more important. We have the public records, only 2 of them because it's singular here. But yeah, what this does, and once again, you have all 5 of the rings. They all come with all 5 rings. Yeah, this gives you a card pool to build many, many decks from. It does have some cool, unique cards in it. Doesn't have a lot of rares, but they fixed that problem by having these packs that are entirely rare, which is, it's just so smart. I love everything about this. The fact that as a new player, you could just buy the whole box set, right? You can just buy the whole box set and then have one of these for every single class so you can try it out and play it. You know, most of the cards in here are probably not like valuable cards, but they don't need to be, because this is just a way to teach you how to play and not, you know, a way to get like an instant, really expensive collection. So yeah, I really think this is such a cool product here. We have the pack of all rares. Let's kind of flip through this. Ooh, Sasumata weapon. Ooh, this person looks cool. This is a unique Shadowlands ninja. So they're Shadowlands, but not any other faction. Some of the Shadowlands are actually Spider, but this one is not. Takasho. Pretty cool. Put that on top. Let's open this other one, just to take a look at it. These packs, by the way, are kind of a pain in the butt to open. Just gonna say, I opened actually an entire booster box of Emperor Edition Genpuku, which are these packs, these little thin packs, but you get 36 of them, but they come in a tiny booster box that's maybe about this big. It's cute and weird. All right, I got it. So yeah, that is. I'm pretty sure I've said so yeah many times. Besiege. This is a unique siege. We also have Alter History, another unique card, very cool. Wrathful Ancestor, and this one's a Scorpion Clan card. Yo, this one could go in our Scorpion deck that we just got. Soshi Komiko. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. And I've mentioned it many times already, but the moral here is that I think a lot of modern trading card games could take a nod from the past failures and successes of older card games such as L5R. L5R in particular did so many very cool things. We're not even talking about their organized play system in this video. We're just talking about the products that they offered, the way that they're able to teach people how to play the game, but also how to build decks, as well as to give them a good flavor of the world that they're getting into. Yeah, I love this. I really love this. I think this is my favorite starter deck product of all time. The Emperor Edition Genpuku here, and we'll put this back on here. Like I said, this is quite heavy, quite heavy. So looking forward to other things coming in the future. I do think that starter product in general is very important for any trading card game out there, especially with so many other trading card games on the market. You want to have a product that gets the audience engaged with the game as well as the world. All aspects of the game, not just gameplay. You want to incorporate the world, and they are doing that. Flesh and Blood is doing that with stuff like the classic battles, but I think they could go further. I think they can go further, and the next step would be something like the Honor and Treachery, right, where you do have this nice boxed product contained with a beautiful rule book and a pretty thick lore book, as well as like these really nice boxes. I think this is a place that they could go to as the next step, just improving on what they already have, improving on like the classic battles. But I think this, I don't know if any other card game is going to do this or be able to do this, but this, in my opinion, is the pinnacle of starter product. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you'd like to support the channel, you can become a channel member. You can join our Patreon or check out our merch store to get lovely playmats such as this. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.